everybody's talking about folate deficiency and Tylenol and autism. And I have my PhD in this exact area. I have worked in this field for 10 years, like this exact field for 10 years. And there is a huge elephant in the room that nobody is even mentioning or telling you about. And I've been trying to get my thoughts together on how to explain this for all day, essentially. They may be trying to shift blame to mothers, and that's not okay. For the reasons I'm getting ready to tell you, they're not telling you how to fix it. Like, I can very easily fix the use of Tylenol in a folate deficiency in pregnancy. Like, that's not even hard. I'm not saying I can fix autism. I'm saying I can reverse the effects while they're pregnant. But honestly, it drives me insane because they've mentioned two single things, and I know exactly how this is happening. Like, I can tell you exactly how it's happening, and I will tell you. But they're not mentioning, like, the 40 other things that impact the biochemical pathways in the exact same way. And surprise, this has nothing to do... Okay, it has very, very, very little to do with the choices of the mother, especially mothers that aren't informed of the risks. So, like, literally no blame. No blame on the mothers. So I'm going to give you this short and sweet, and you guys tell me which parts you would like more data on, because I could do a 3-hour video, like literally just covering this and going through all of the details, and I'm happy to do so. So I wrote an article September 8th, I think, on my website. It's geneticsforthepeople.com, and it talks about, if you go to the blog, it's there. It talks about how essentially, and this relates, I promise, after World War II, right, we got into synthetic chemistry. The United States, a bunch of other countries got into a lot of synthetic chemistry. That essentially flooded our entire planet with all of these chemical compounds that we just genuinely did not exist before then. A bunch of laws came out, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, all of that stuff. And they ended up cleaning up some stuff, but they did not eliminate the burden or decrease the toxin burden at all. And my post, like, very much explains it so much better than this is. Humans have lived for however long, right, without all of these chemicals in the environment. Guys, we don't have that many systems to get them out of our body. We just don't. And what would typically happen, right, is if this were a slow march up to the point where, you know, we were slowly increasing the chemicals, then our bodies would adapt to that to be able to handle this. But because it was so fast, it was in the last, 65 years, we can't keep up. Your bodies have to process anything that it considers to be trash, whether that's, you know, a chemical from the environment in your health and beauty products, in your food, in your water, in your air, Tylenol, whatever, right? Through two pathways. One pathway, but it's like cut into two. They're in the liver. They're called phase 1, phase 2 detox. Phase 1 detox is really, really fast, which is a problem. I'll get to that in a second. Phase 2 detox is really slow, which is also a problem. I will get to that in a second. Now remember, we are only built to handle a little bit of this stuff at a time. Think, we are built to handle hunter-gatherer level of these compounds that we have to get out of our body, okay? So in phase 1 detox, your body takes this compound that it sees as toxic or just trash, right? And it makes it more water soluble. And it does this with cytochrome P450 enzymes. By making it more water soluble, it takes the first step in trying to get it out of your body, because what it's trying to do is it's trying to get out of your body through your kidneys. And for that to happen, it needs to be soluble in blood and urine, which are mostly water, right? Unfortunately, when this happens, things that are truly toxic and not just trash become even more dangerous to your body because now they're water soluble, meaning it can pretty much go wherever it wants, right? And damage whatever it wants. This was fine until we overloaded the system, because before we overloaded the system, phase 2 detox, which is much slower, could handle the workload and keep up. Phase 2 detox is going to add a couple different things, but mainly glutathione and a methyl group, or a methyl group, not both, to these compounds, and it tags them for removal. So it tells tells your body, hey, these are bad, get them out. When these two systems work in sync, it's fine. When they get out of sync, phase one goes way too fast. So now you have these toxic things that are more able to float around and damage things in your body. They're more toxic. And you have phase two that's so slow and can't actually get them out. So we've essentially created more toxic things that are stuck in our bodies. So not only have we overloaded the system, but some things can decrease the amount of things you have to do, you work with in phase two. So it can decrease the amount of methyl groups that you have to get rid of things, or decrease the amount of glutathione that you have to get rid of things. The clicking is my dog. He will not sit down. So methyl groups come from the folate pathway, the methylation pathway, right? The two pathways, actually all three pathways are linked, but the folate pathway goes right into the methylation pathway. So yes, if you have a folate deficiency, you're going to produce less methyl donors, which means your phase two detox is going to run slower. I can think of at least 50 different things that are going to decrease the amount of available folate in your blood, not just a folate deficiency. Now, your glutathione comes from the glutathione pathway, right? Which links in right with the methylation pathway. And again, I can make a really long YouTube video with pictures on all of this stuff. I can also think of about 50 different things that are going to decrease your level of glutathione that you have available to run phase two detox, including Tylenol. I can put the whole list of everything up on my website. Now, if you have a bunch of these toxins just floating around your body, right, of course it's going to cause more damage. And if it damages you, it can damage your fetus. Now, in like a typical world, right, folate deficiency and glutathione deficiency, which is what we're talking about here, we're not talking about Tylenol, would not be enough to trigger autism. It wouldn't. Not without all of this crap in our air, in our food, in our water, in our healthcare products. This is because we have overloaded the system that we were never evolutionarily designed for. We are trying to adapt to modern day world with literally like ancestor genetics. On top of that, makes it even worse, we never had to run these systems fast before, like 1960, right? So because we've never had to run them at even close to full speed before, people have a lot of gene mutations in the genes that create enzymes that run these biochemical pathways. MTHFR is one. I'm sure you've heard about it. And because it's been such a recent thing, right, since 1960, evolution hasn't had time yet to adapt the genetic population, which is horrible. Essentially make people with gene mutations in these pathways less fit to reproduce or to care for their children, right? Like Darwin's theory. Just as a side note, my entire company exists to try to fight back against this Darwin evolution that's going on right now. So it's not just the Tylenol. It's not just the folate deficiency. It's the Tylenol, it's the folate deficiency. It's all of this crap in our environment, and it's gene mutations in genes that we've never needed to run full speed before. It's also anything that depletes your folate levels in your blood. We have a pretty decent connection between low folate and low B12 in your blood and the development of autism in offspring. And it's also anything that depletes glutathione, not just Tylenol. It's also the chemicals in the environment and gene mutations. You cannot say that Tylenol causes autism when it does not cause autism in every single person. And this is why studies are impossible to run, because nobody looks at all of it. Everybody looks at maybe one gene, one chemical, one compound, one medicine, right? One condition. Nobody looks at the fact that all of these biochemical pathways flow in a river. In these rivers, especially like phase 1, phase 2 detox, they've got to run at the correct speed. And you've got to keep them below their processing ability, which is going to be different for everybody because everybody's got different gene mutations. But this was never a problem, right? Until all of these big companies started dumping all of these chemicals into our environment and our products. So if you want to blame somebody, blame all of these companies. Don't blame moms that just take Tylenol because they have a fever.